So then who contacted you after the accident had happened, or what was the next thing that had happened?
Well, the last time I talked to him, when I got off the phone with him, it was around 9:10 in the morning. And he was probably about 30 minutes from home, 30, 40 minutes. So I expected him to be home before 10 a.m. And he didn't show up. So I thought maybe he stopped somewhere on the way. And to be honest with you, my first thought was that he got pulled over for speeding. And his license was not legit at the time, so I thought maybe he got arrested or something.
Yeah.
And I kept trying to call his phone, and I couldn't get through, and I had kept calling his nephew, who he was with when he left, and neither of us could get a hold of him. And then it was just after noon, after 12 noon in the afternoon, and a police officer pulled into my driveway. And it was at that point that I knew it was serious, because if he had just gotten arrested, they wouldn't be coming to my house to tell me that. They probably would have had him call me or his lawyer call me or something. So when they pulled into my driveway, I kind of had a feeling that it was something bad.
What was that conversation like with the officer?
Well, at first they didn't want to tell me anything because I was at home with the younger 3 children. And Zara, she is kind of stuck to me like glue. So as soon as I came outside, she was right there, and they were kind of like, well, do you want to go somewhere and talk? So as soon as they said that, I knew something bad. So I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
So then they asked me, do you know this person? Does he drive this car? And I said yes and yes. And then they basically just said, well, we're sorry to have to tell you that he was involved in a car accident and he passed away. So obviously I was in a state at that point. I was kind of out of it. I fell over and hit the ground, and the officer had to pick me up. And my daughter was there. At the time, she was only 3. So she did hear what was said, but it didn't really clue into her and register with her. In fact, she didn't really show any signs of emotion or show any recognition of the situation until his funeral, when she seen him in the casket.
Okay.
So it wasn't really much of an understanding. The officer stayed with me while I made some phone calls, and they sent someone from Victim Services to stay with me to help me deal with the stuff. And they basically said there wasn't much they could tell me other than there was an accident and that he passed away, that they were investigating it. As from what I heard, the road was closed for 24 hours while they were investigating and doing everything they needed to do.
Yeah.
But it was a difficult time, and, I called one of his brothers, and I called his nephew, and I couldn't call his mom. That was just one thing I couldn't do. So I left that for his other family members to do. So it was hard for me because I'm at home by myself. I've got my 3 younger kids there. My older 2 were coming home from school. One of our mutual friends, one of his business partners that he was in the restaurant with, who lived up there where we were, he came to the house and stayed with me, and so that I could have the time to tell the other kids. So it was definitely a rough day. A rough month, I should say, until he was buried. So,
Because I guess at that point the phone calls, the DMs, everything is coming in, and a million people are trying to pull at you at one time.
Well, I'm not even sure how it got out so quickly to the media, because I only told like maybe 3 or 4 people in his immediate family, and then like my mom and like a couple of our close friends. I never put anything out in the media, I think, until at least 24 hours after the accident happened. So when I'm getting messages the day of the accident of people saying, is it true? Is it true? I heard there was an accident. I really don't know who officially put it out there, but I guess things go through the grapevine. He has a very large immediate family. Like he has 6 brothers and sisters, and then they all have children. So, just that alone right there, that's, probably close to 200 people in his immediate family that all live within the GTA area. So, his nephew finds out, his niece finds out, they tell a friend. It got out very quickly. So that became very difficult, because obviously people are automatically going to be calling me because I was the next closest person to him to verify it. And I didn't really put anything out there to verify it 100% until I think it was at least 24 hours after the accident.
And what state did that leave you in at first when everything started to happen?
To be honest with you, I don't think I really fully took in my own emotions and my own grief, because I was so busy dealing with the accident and dealing with the information from it. And then, so quickly, because he was so well known, how to handle putting it out there to the media. And of course, I'm having lots of people contact me. I've had like CTV, CP24. CP24 had it running every 20 minutes on their TV station. So I didn't even have the TV on in my house because of my children. I was on social media, and a lot of people were like, oh, you should stay off. You're going to see a lot of things. But at the same time, I kind of had to, because he is such a big figure in the media. So I couldn't, I felt like I needed to know what was going on and
Yeah.
what was being said just so that I had an idea of how to handle it when it came to that point.
Makes sense. When the news officially broke now, who were some of the celebrity friends that reached out to you right away and offered some sort of assistance or help or condolence?
The main one that comes to mind immediately was DJ Khaled. He was one of the first people to reach out to me. I text him. I sent him a text message and let him know what happened. And he was obviously upset by it. And he, like, the celebrities never really officially put anything out about it until I had put something on his Instagram and my Instagram. Once that had happened, then that's when all the celebrities started posting their, you know, memoriams and stuff for him that they put out. But I would have to say DJ Khaled was one of the main people that reached out to me right away. And that was after I messaged him. And then once it started getting out there, Sizzla reached out to me, Popcaan, Movado, Bounty Killer. A lot of the reggae dance hall scene artists were the more to reach out to me. Khaled was really the only one from the U.S. that reached out.
Yeah.
Everybody else just basically put something up in his memory up on their social media, like Foxy Brown and Nas and Snoop Dogg, and they just basically would post something and say something about it. But really, Khaled was the only one that took the time to reach out and lend his support and say if there was anything I needed and to let him know.
This podcast is brought to you by www.twolinedmusichut.com.